Okay. I was waiting for this meeting is now being recorded. There we go. Did you hear that on your end?
Yes, I heard it.
Oh, okay. Okay. It's still throwing me off because it wasn't doing that before. Anyway, hey everyone. Thanks for joining us. I am joined today by my new friend and fellow higher ed marketer, Chaz Williams. He is the Digital Media Recruiting Strategist for Clemson University. And you're the third Clemson person I've interviewed on this podcast. And don't tell Hillary, but the best. I just know it's going to go well.
Well, I appreciate it. Appreciate you having me.
Yeah. So let's start at the beginning. Where'd you get your start in marketing? What was that moment you decided, like, I have to be in marketing?
Yeah, so kind of an interesting story. Obviously, I have my undergrad degree from Clemson. I graduated in 2015 with a degree in financial management with a minor in accounting. But during my time, my freshman year, I came in as a health science major, like a lot of people. Thought I wanted to be a doctor, and so was kind of on that path early on, and then. I was also working, I was a student manager with the baseball team at Clemson during my time in undergrad. And so kind of into that first semester of freshman year, I realized, like, man, I really miss math. I'm taking, all these science courses and, I'm missing math a little bit. And,
right.
And I think maybe my calling is to be and to do something in the business side of sports. So I changed to finance. And then during that time, I guess it was about my second semester, my sophomore year, our football account at Clemson, the managers on the football team created kind of a social media account, and we're posting kind of pictures of clothes and shoes and things like that the athletes get. And I was like, well, that looks pretty easy. Like, I can do that. I've got a phone. I can take pictures of, cleats and bats and things like that.
Right.
And so that's really kind of how it started for me, was just with an iPhone, taking pictures of the gear and things like that. And then about my senior year was when Clemson, the athletic department in specific, was really, really starting to invest in social media and utilizing it as a recruiting tool for the entire athletic department. And there's a guy named Jonathan Gant who still works here at Clemson, but he came to me and was like, hey man, like, I really like what you're doing with this equipment manager account. Is there any way we could start, you could kind of back off that account a little bit and just start sending us your pictures, and we'll just post them on the Clemson baseball account. And for whatever reason, there was an internal struggle there of like, well, wait a minute, like, I've built this thing from the ground up, and now this guy comes in and wants me to just burn it all to the ground and just help him. Mm-hmm. But I realized quite a bigger audience, and could do a little bit more from a recruiting standpoint for sure. So I transitioned over to that, and then after I graduated, I had the opportunity to be a graduate assistant in the sports communications department at Clemson, and so I was in charge of women's soccer, men's golf, and then everyone works football. So. Did a little bit of football and still got to help out with the baseball stuff as well. So, and then a year into that, Jonathan called me and was like, hey man, like, I think, there's this opportunity that the university's kind of working on to do recruiting for the admissions office. And I think you'd be a great fit for it. And really just kind of ran from there. So, I guess I have give all the credit to an iPhone and some, Easton baseball apparel at the time.
Yeah, that's great. So I love the sort of transition and migration into higher roles and responsibilities throughout your time at Clemson. So specifically, what does a digital media recruiting strategist do on the day-to-day?
Yeah, so I'm kind of in an interesting position. Part of my job is with undergraduate admissions. So we all kind of know recruiting and the admissions role there, but then I also work part of our time with University Relations, which is our marketing, creative services, and communications staff. And so really, I'm tasked with recruiting students to Clemson on social media. And the role really started as a diversity and inclusion initiative, where my main focus was in-state students that come from an underrepresented background. And so what we were able to do and what we continue to do is, we're able to identify various students based on scores and things like that we receive in our RFI, request for information form as well. And from there, we're able to kind of serve them up with some targeted marketing and things like that. And then as they continue to engage with that, we begin to engage with them on a one-to-one level, whether it's from the university account, or we have 3 admissions counselors we actually started this year that have an Instagram account, have social media profiles where they can serve as just another way to assist students and help them a lot of times realize that college is an option. That was really the eye-opening thing for me, especially my first year. It was, super bare bones, and it was really a lot of what we were doing was just based on information we were receiving from the College Board and the ACT. And there was one student in particular that I remember, and I was kind of messaging with her, and she's like, "Why am I getting these messages?" And finally, I just told her, I was like, you're identified based on your SAT score. Based on your score, we think you have a legitimate chance of coming to Clemson and being successful at Clemson. She was like, "Oh my gosh, I didn't think my score would be high enough to get into Clemson." She had a 1480 on the SAT.
Yeah, it's high enough.
Right. So,
yeah.
So, that was just incredibly eye-opening to me. She never would have thought that Clemson was an option. And so that's really been the cool thing to kind of see that evolve and really just trying to find ways to serve the students on the platforms that they're already on. It's a lot easier for them just to shoot one of our counselors or our university account a direct message, and then we're able to reply back, based on their specific question that they might have.
That's great. So you're doing a lot of interfacing with current and prospective students.
Yep.
What's the one engagement strategy that not asking you to pull all the tricks out of your hat, but like, what's the one thing that sort of resonates the most, the one point of engagement that resonates the most with prospective students, especially on the sports side of things?
Yeah. So just to kind of clarify a little bit more, what the work I do now, I don't work with the athletic department anymore. So,
that's right.
So
that's right. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Yeah. But
my bad.
No, you're good. I just want to and everybody kind of gets that confused because I still know a lot of people in the athletic department. They're like, "Yes, you do the football videos, right?" And I'm like, as nice as it would be for me to say that I do that, that is definitely not it.
Okay, same question, non-sports context.
Yeah, no, you're good. You're good. So I think the biggest thing is again just people realizing that Clemson is an option, and that they can come and be successful at Clemson has really been kind of the biggest strategy from a communication standpoint that we've been able to use, and it helps be in the top school in the state. And, especially kind of early on in the, when it was just focused on the in-state students. Now we've kind of expanded outside. But yeah, it's been really cool to kind of see it evolve. Early on, we were kind of focusing on, all right, let's see which platforms we can use. And, at the time I was like, oh, Twitter's where it's going to be at. But then over time, it's certainly evolved. And so many of those students are on Instagram and being able to utilize the paid aspect on the back end of Facebook to target those students. And then, once they start interacting with that, then we can kind of, okay, now we have a better idea of who you are and the things that you're interested in. So we can kind of tailor it a little bit more and create more one-to-one messaging for them.
Yeah. It's interesting. So your marketing and communicating from the holistic point of view, you represent the whole university, right? On my side of things, I only represent the business college at Pitt, right? So I don't get the kinds of experiences and perspectives that you would being the communicator for the whole university. So what's interesting though is that like most of you would think like, oh, they're a business school, most of their traction is going to be on LinkedIn, which is a cliche. And how can they leverage Instagram well when business schools aren't really like that visually dynamic as a concept, right? And even in practice. But our largest amount of traction has and continues to be Instagram completely. That's where we get not only most of our engagement, but really most of our connection points to existing students, prospective students. It's quite crazy.
Yeah, no, that's definitely wild. I would not have thought of that for sure. I would have said LinkedIn in a heartbeat.
Well, yeah, LinkedIn. I mean, we track really well with alumni on LinkedIn, and then we do pretty well on Facebook. But yeah, I mean, it's really Instagram, and I think it just goes to show you that that's where students are living these days.
Yeah.
So in one sense, like you get to be more creative with your strategy and your content, whereas I have to be as creative as possible, and because I don't have much, right? So I actually have to, like, you've got everything. You've got all the different aspects of campus, and you could market any specific, you could feature content on any specific college, and it's just like, oh, great. Business post, how do I show this same classroom from a different angle?
Yeah, for sure. And that's kind of, one of the benefits of being at Clemson, and kind of the phrase we like to use in our offices. If we can get you to come to campus, we have a pretty good chance of you spending 4 years here. The campus definitely makes it easy to sell.
Mm-hmm. And that's such a great way to put it. So, I came from the teaching side. I was a tenured professor before I joined Pitt. And one of the things that I was always told by my admissions people, by my department chair, was that like, just get them to campus, and the rest will sell itself. And that seems to be the case. But interestingly enough, I've taught at some universities with extremely poor looking campuses. And, that sell is much, much more difficult.
No, for sure. And we kind of talked about it a little bit before I think we started recording, but especially now, our big yield time was, right as things were starting to close down, and, we ended up closing our campus. So now it's how can we find creative ways to bring campus to students as we approach that admissions deposit deadline here recently. So definitely been a challenge, but
well, how did you overcome that?
Yeah. So, being a larger university, I think a lot of people expect us to have a virtual tour platform, and it's definitely something that we've worked on. One of the issues that we've kind of stumbled upon with a lot of the softwares that offer that solution is that they're not accessible from an ADA compliance standpoint. And so that's obviously extremely important for us. And so, we just kind of worked with two of our admissions counselors just to kind of give a 30,000-foot view of, hey, we understand that you can't come to campus, and we were very transparent about that fact. But this is kind of an overview of 10 quick stops that, if you just walked around our campus, you would certainly see these buildings in kind of a brief kind of one over of what they are. And then I actually have a call this afternoon with with a group of our tour guides, our on-campus tour guides, and trying to find ways that we can kind of expand on that a little bit. So, it was definitely a time where we were like, man, really wish we had kind of that click-through, walk-through virtual tour. But as of yesterday, we had almost 8,000 views on that video on our Vimeo page. So,
wow, that's fantastic.
Just in a couple months. So, or matter of weeks even, but so, I felt like we were able to weather that one a little bit better. Again, it's nice that the campus looks nice. And we have plenty of footage of campus with students and without students that we could kind of use to make that happen. And so,
I wish I would have had the opportunity to get a picture of campus when it was active, and then like the exact same photo when no one was around.
Yeah.
because there's some really interesting visuals that you could do with that. Like, yeah, hey, here's what it looks like now, empty, and then here's what it looks like in a true active context. I've been
Yep.
trying to think of ways to, similar to your note, like think of ways to promote the life of my university when there really isn't a whole lot of activity or life, as it were, going on. And I've, been trying to develop that idea out in a visually interesting way.
Yep.
But the damn thing of it is that, like, even if I spent a ton of time on a Photoshop document and making something really cool, the Instagram, algorithm would compress it down anyway. And
Right.
it would be like, oh, 10 hours worth of work on this Photoshop document only got 75 likes, and no comments. It's just like,
Right.
ugh. Yeah. So switch gears a little bit. So you've come this far at Clemson. How far do you want to go? What are your career goals beyond the point that you're at now?
I'm definitely one of those people that's still trying to figure that out.
Okay.
What does that next step look like for me? I was fortunate enough, as a graduate assistant, I was able to complete a master's already. So I've checked that off. Had thought about doing the MBA program at Clemson. Kind of one of the perks of being an employee is you can kind of catch some breaks on some of that sort of thing. But then,
right.
But then we have an event at Clemson called Campus Movie Fest, and it's a national event, and they travel around the country, and for a week they put on a movie fest for students, and they have 1 week to create a video of 5 minutes or less. And so one of the guys that worked in the athletic department, who's no longer with the athletic department now, Nick Conklin, had worked closely with a professor in graphic communications to kind of bring Campus Movie Fest to Clemson and get that started. And as Nick left, she had asked me if I would be interested in kind of helping kind of fill his role a little bit, and then had also presented me with an opportunity to teach. And so
cool.
So this past semester, which was not quite what I signed up for, obviously. But I taught a videography and motion graphics course for the first time, and really, really enjoyed that. So, just kind of keeping the doors open and seeing kind of what door opens next, for sure.
I've been teaching for over 10 years, and this semester was the first semester I was teaching at 2 new universities. So I taught a business class at Pitt, and then I taught a graphic design class at Point Park, which is in downtown Pittsburgh. And yeah, so I can relate one-to-one exactly on like, what is all this? I didn't sign up for any of this. I mean, I can't, you seem like you're a smart guy on top of everything. So like, I hope that transition to online was not very difficult for you. I had all my stuff online to begin with, so it was a relatively easy transition, but I had a lot of colleagues in the design education field. They're just like, I cannot do this at all. And they've been doing it for like 12, 15, 20 years.
Yeah, it kind of worked out. I was fortunate enough that a lot of the really hands-on instruction of the course was it was front loaded. And so the last 5-6 weeks of class was really focused on just kind of hardening those skills with a couple different projects. The final project that I originally had planned was to create some content around graduation at Clemson. So obviously kind of had to change that up a little bit.
Right.
And I ended up just having the students kind of do a vlog of what their day looks like in quarantine, and kind of seeing, it was really neat to see, there were only 14 people in the class, but to kind of see how each person kind of is spending their time, but then also took a different approach of the video was really cool. And, it ended up being a nice final project for him, for sure.
Yeah. So, out of curiosity, so the students that you were teaching, were they like graphic communication majors, or was this kind of a mixed bag?
So they don't have to be a graphic communications major to take the course. It's not a required course as part of the GC program. So I had some students that were marketing majors. A lot of them, the course actually counts. We have a brand communication minor. And so the course counts towards that minor. So a lot of the students were, could be a marketing or communications or something like that major, but then they they're also minoring in brain communication. So,
Okay.
so that was definitely a handful of them as well.
How did they take to doing video-based work? Not only video capture, but video editing, and then considering narratives and motion graphics and stuff like that. What was your process?
So we started super basic. I kind of talked about how I got my start on a cell phone, and so that's kind of how we approached the class. Was and honestly, that was one of the biggest challenges. Is I had 14 students, and I probably had 4 or 5 that had some pretty serious video and editing experience, and then others that had literally never touched the camera other than their phone. And so that the first kind of topic that we worked on was just on your phone and utilizing Adobe Rush to edit. And then we kind of slowly migrated through, right, this is, the functions of a camera, shutter speed, frame rate, that sort of thing. And then, we just kind of kept slowly evolving along until we got into motion graphics and how that can complement your video and things like that. So, so that was kind of the flow of the course, I guess.
Yeah, keep it simple and, try to emphasize the creative aspects. One of the things that I always told people was, I can teach you how to use the software till the cows come home. Like I can, all the ins and outs, everything, but I can't teach you necessarily how to be creative. And, ultimately it's that creativity that I think, offers a competitive advantage, not just in design, but any creative profession, especially in marketing. Like I was just having a conversation with a colleague about how, the business students, like in general, they, especially if they're in marketing, they are the ones that are interacting with creative professionals, the graphic designers, the copywriters, the content strategists, and they don't necessarily know how to do some of the work of those occupations, right?
Right.
Inversely, they may not know how to run marketing analytics and build marketing strategies and stuff like that. So there's very much a reciprocal, need for exchanging of information. And I had proposed, like, hey, how about we do a creative, I don't know how I phrase it, but we'll call it a design academy where, all right, all the marketing students can take 12 weeks worth of Adobe Photoshop or rather they learn how to use the Adobe products and Hootsuite and, all the other different types of marketing software out there. So that way you've got the theory and then you can back that up with the practical application support.
Yeah, for sure. I was saying, there weren't classes like that when I was in school, or I didn't take any of them. So a lot of what I've kind of learned is self-taught or taught from mentors and things like that along the way. Right. But I'm fortunate enough. I do kind of understand what a quick 5-minute video. That's one of our favorite marketing terms is, well, just make us a quick 5-minute video and that'll solve all of our problems. But just understanding what exactly goes into a quick 5-minute video and how it's going to be consumed is definitely one of the battles that we're going through all the time.
Do you die a little inside when you hear that phrase?
Oh, for sure. I had a request yesterday for a quick 25 to 30 minute video. So
just a quick one.
Yeah, just a quick one. It won't be very long, just 25 to 30 minutes. So.
Make a episode of television for me, just a quick one.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I cringe or die inside a little bit whenever I see, like, during these unprecedented times, that phrase. So yeah, I empathize with the plight of the video production. That's one thing that I don't see enough with business colleges is a lot of video-based work, and I really enjoy doing it. The video capture, the direction, the editing, the motion graphics. But I think one of the challenges I have in a business college is that, like, you're in a college full of business people whose fundamental, like, principle is time is money, right?
Yep.
And everything can be measured and quantified down to, the amount of money it costs to produce that piece. So it's like, all right, well, I spend a day making a video piece and then it tracks decent, maybe it gets like 200 or 300 hits on YouTube or whatever. And then someone will be like, well, that's not quite enough to justify the time you spent on it, right? But then I have to make the argument of like, well, if we're looking at an annual strategy and video is a part of our marketing mix, we have to produce those things to create a sort of diverse ecosystem of communication media. Like, we can't assume that everything is going to be, viral. I mean, none of how frequently does that even happen? And for what I do, it doesn't. So it's like, hey, a day's worth of work, maybe 2 days to get, 400 or 500 hits on a video. Like, that's not bad for my world, at least.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how much time do you spend on a video piece or anything that you're making to ensure its quality, but also that it will, track well relative to your strategy?
Yeah. So, kind of along the lines of the time and how much time it takes to kind of make a video and things like that, I usually account, and one thing I forgot to mention is my wife and I actually have a small videography business on the side as well.
Okay, cool.
And so we mostly weddings, but we do some small business stuff as well. So any
God bless you, man. I photographed one wedding back in the mid 2000s, and I said, you know what? I'm good. I'm glad I had this experience. I do not want any more of it.
we think the photography side of it's a little bit more difficult than the video side, but which is crazy because for a video, you need at least 24 frames to make a second of a video. But to be a photographer, you only have to get you only have to get one frame right.
That's right.
But
yeah.
But yeah, we definitely let the photographers deal with all the families and things like that. We're like, we're probably not going to use, as cute as your grandmother is and this family photo is, we're probably not going to use that in your final video. So we'll help kind of wrangle some people, but yeah, that's definitely one of the stressful things. But kind of the meter I use for time is for 30 seconds of video, I'm going to account for probably an hour. Just to spend time in post. That doesn't include anything, capturing anything at all. That's how much I'm going to spend kind of working through it in post-production.
What are you editing in?
Premiere Pro. So we have an Adobe partnership at Clemson. So everyone gets the Adobe softwares for free, or
cool.
For free,
Man, isn't that a beautiful thing?
Yeah, no, it really is, for sure. Absolutely.
Yeah. I've been benefiting from that relationship for years. It's fantastic.
Yeah, no, for sure.
We're kind of wrapping up on our time, and I wanted to get your thoughts on what we're going through now. So obviously you're in self-isolation at home and you're with your wife and, just kind of buckled down. And I'm sure your business, your side practice is kind of taken a hit because weddings are being postponed or outrightly rescheduled.
Yep.
But you're still able to do your day-to-day work with Clemson.
Right. Yep.
Yeah. So, you and I are in positions where like, hey, fortunately we're okay. We're kind of, I'll go as far as to say we are totally necessary. Even though that marketing is typically the first thing to go in practically any sort of organization. But nevertheless, we both had students that graduated this semester that are now struggling to find work. They don't know what their career prospects are. I've encouraged any number of different things, ranging from going to grad school to, doing some online learning, to just doing something, literally anything, just produce something, become a freelancer, start your own business, whatever. What would your recommendations be for students or graduates now, students and or graduates, that are looking for internships or employment in an economy that can't really support them?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for me, and it is just to keep learning, right? Again, I don't have any formal training in any of the Adobe softwares or anything like that. So the biggest thing for me is if you see something you like, figure out how to do it, even if it's not the right way or the best way of doing it. If you can find a way to do that, and continue to teach teach and learn on your own, then you're definitely going to be a more competitive person kind of once the job market does kind of level back out and get back to whatever our new normal is going to look like. So, and that's kind of one of the things, one of my mentors that I'm still super close with, but his line is, you can't tread water forever. At some point you have to start swimming forward. And so,
That's right.
Challenge yourself to swim forward and to learn something new and better yourself in the process.
Absolutely. I often say, like, to my students, like, pray to God, but row for shore.
Yeah.
Like, just hope everything's going to work out, but you have to progress forward. You have to do something to kind of instigate that hope a bit. And ultimately what you're doing is you're creating your own successes for yourself.
Sure.
I understand that, like, with our respective students, like, that could be a bit more challenging to do because, like, damn, I mean, I feel like every human on the planet is depressed right now. And just kind of coping with the situation we're in, it's just difficult to stay motivated. I definitely speak from experience. Like, I signed up for like 6 of these online courses that either range from free or a few bucks, and then looking hard at certifications. And it's just like, I want to do all these things. And then when reality kind of kicks back in, it's just like, oh shit, I just can't. I can't get into all this right now.
Yeah.
So
I'll say, and that's definitely been one of the things that we've challenged even the interns that we have on our team that aren't necessarily graduating is, take Twitter flight school, study up on Google Analytics, like just find something, even if it's just something to add to your resume, find a new skill and, take the opportunity to connect with new people and to learn something new.
Yep. So you got it. Keep learning. Chaz, this was great. Thank you so much for your time and your insights and advice. And we definitely need to do this again and talk shop on video-based work and a variety of other things. So
yeah, absolutely. Thank you for the opportunity. So.
Yeah, and if any of the folks listening have any questions for you, how can they find you?
I'm on pretty much all social media. Twitter, that's where you and I met and kind of set this whole thing up. So Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, all the above.
Okay, I'll put it in the show notes.
Cool.
Well, thanks, Chaz. Enjoy your day, and best of luck to you and your wife.
Appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
All right, man.
All right.